podcast where we use 3D replays of actual races to discuss tactics, rules, and winning strategies. So this is part 2 in a series called The View from the Top, which is where we mount a GoPro on the mainsail headboard and then evaluate the footage in different ways. In the original podcast, we gave you detailed instructions on mounting and direct you to some free software to help you get the draft and things like that. So if you want those instructions, please go back and watch the first podcast in the series. Today, I'm going to go over the things we can get by just watching the GeoVid without any software at all. So the first thing I want to talk about is when we're watching our video from the top, we can see the tiller movements quite clearly. And I'm just going to zoom in a bit. And here we can get a look at tiller angle and weather helm. So if you have a wheel instead of a tiller, you can still make these same measurements by making an obvious mark on your wheel at the center line. And then use the stern mount GeoVid. And the concept remains exactly the same. So I'm just going to draw a line at what center would be for the tiller. When you're going upwind, in most boats, you want to have about 3 to 5 degrees of weather helm. Anything more than 5 degrees is excessive, and less than about 3 degrees is lee helm, and that slows you down too. Our weather helm looks okay, maybe a little strong. If you see too much weather helm or lee helm, it's most likely that your mast rake is incorrect, although of course it could be a multitude of things. In addition to looking at your weather helm, you want to watch how much you are actually moving the tiller or the wheel. On a well-balanced boat, the tiller should only be moving in that same 3 to 5 degree zone as we do for the weather helm. Watch and see how much tiller movement you are doing. If you're steering all over the place, you're probably overcorrecting, which is definitely more common with an inexperienced helmsman. Also, it's fairly likely that your trim is out of balance. So if you find yourself really oversteering a lot, you should practice driving the boat with just the main and holding the tiller steady. When you pull the main to windward, that's going to drive the boat down, and lowering the main to leeward will drive the boat up. The main trimmer should be using the sheet to do most of the driving of the boat, unless of course it's super choppy. So you're driving the boat with the main, and the tiller is just telling you how much pressure there is on the rudder, which is one of your foils under the boat along with your keel. Now we can't feel how much pressure is on the keel, but we can feel that pressure on the rudder, and it helps us figure out our proper trim. Unless of course you're turning or tacking, then you want your rudder and you're going to be moving the tiller more. So let's move forward along the boat a little bit and look at the boom angle. The view from the top gives us a great vantage point on the boom. Unless it's really windy, your boom should be right on the center line or just about 5 degrees to leeward. You can really use this tool to evaluate how well your main trimmer is anticipating and dealing with the puffs. So how do you know if there's a puff? This is a video. What we're going to do is turn on the polar chart. That is an overlay that shows, among other things, the angle of heel. So when there's a big puff and the boat heels a lot, we can see it right here. So let's look for a point where we have a lot of heel upwind. And then we'll watch the GeoVid and check if the main trimmer has traveled down enough to keep you from going over on your ear from heeling. The boom angle is controlled by the traveler. A lot of people just lock the traveler and then get knocked down in the puffs, which really slows you down. And the last thing I want to talk about in this podcast is main twist. Main twist is pretty much a completely separate podcast all by itself. It'll probably be the next one, but I want to introduce the concept because it is so important. And we have such a great vantage point using these GeoVids with the angle from the top. So main twist is the change in the angle of attack from the bottom of the sail to the top. Not a big deal if you're a cruiser, but if you're a racer, you want to trim your sail to take full advantage of the available winds. We do this by controlling the twist of the leech of the mainsail, which is the back part of it. You control twist by pulling or easing the leech with the main sheet or the boom bang. So this idea of trimming your twist has become more and more important on modern boats as these mainsails seem to be getting just bigger and bigger. I feel like the roach on some of these new racing sails are so big that you practically need a gaff to hold it up. Experts agree that having proper twist upwind can be the single biggest factor in upwind boat speed. So get your twist right and win the race. So how do we see it? With this view, it's really easy. Just find the top batten and draw the line from the top batten to the mast. Now draw the same line at the boom, and then compare those two to see how much twist you have. The amount of twist you want is different for different boats in different conditions. Basically, you want to find out when your boat is in the groove and note your twist. For most people in average conditions, that's going to be at about 50% twist. So that's all for today. We're going to talk a lot more about this stuff next time, including telltale positions, draft, headstay sag, maybe even jib car position if we have time. I don't want to give it all away. In the meantime, try to find someone from your fleet who is better than you and help them to make one of these top view GeoVids, because looking at their race is going to be your very best learning tool as to how you can sail your boat faster. See you next time. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can find more on our website, www.racecues.com/podcast, or search for Race Cues on iTunes and click subscribe.